they're going to cut rates back to zero. And I had this straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. I was on last July 23rd, I was at Bretton Woods for the 75th anniversary of the original Bretton Woods International Monetary Conference. We were there on the exact day in 1944, 75 years later. I was in the gold room where the articles were signed.
And for people that don't know, what happened that day in 1944?
That was the creation of the Bretton Woods gold standard. So the U.S. called all the shots, designed very much to cause the demise of the British Empire, by the way. And this comes from the credit to Ben Steele. He wrote a book called The Battle of Bretton Woods, which I highly recommend. But the chief U.S. Representative who was the architect of Bretton Woods was a Stalinist agent. He was working for Stalin. He was a communist, Harry Dexter White. But he was Deputy Secretary of the Treasury at the time, and he led the negotiations. His rival was John Maynard Keynes, representing the Exchequer. And Keynes knew that Britain and sterling were not in a position to be the global reserve currency, but he didn't want to be subordinated to the dollar. So he proposed a new reserve currency called the Bancor, which was actually gold-backed. This idea that Keynes hated gold is not true. He had a very nuanced view of gold, and he was in favor of it at the beginning and the end of his career. So he wanted the gold-backed Bancor, and Harry Dexter White said no. The dollar is king. So what they did, they pegged the dollar to gold, and then they pegged all the other currencies to the dollar. Now, indirectly, there was a gold equivalent, but other currencies could devalue against the dollar, and sterling famously did in the 1960s. But the dollar could not devalue against gold. That was the anchor of the whole system until Nixon took it off in 1971.
Okay.
But in the 50s and 60s, you had this Bretton Woods standard. And that was, Bretton Woods just a little town in northern New Hampshire. And there's a place there, a beautiful resort called the Mount Washington Hotel. And the reason they were there was interesting because John Maynard Keynes said, was friends with President Roosevelt and had been working all along on this, but he had a really bad heart and he was pretty ill. And he said to the president, he said, for this conference, could we please have it somewhere other than Washington? Because Washington, if you know, is built on a swamp. It's oppressively hot and humid in the summer. And so Keynes said to Roosevelt, can we have this someplace more comfortable? And FDR said, fine. He had a friend who owned the Mount Washington Hotel. So I'll send you all up to the White Mountains of New Hampshire. It would be very comfortable in the summer. And Keynes was grateful. But that's why the conference was held there.
Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.